Now, I was saying I'd do the KFC video again because it's been very popular and I'm glad it's working out for a few people. I'm just going to run through the mix I use. What I've got here is corn flour and plain flour mixed in there together in a shaker. Then my mix here is I've got a good teaspoon of smoked paprika. I've got a garlic butter rub there. I've got a lot of black pepper. I might even add more. I've got some hot wing rub and I've got some salt. That's just for starters. You can use anything you want. The basics are the flour, the salt and pepper, and the corn flour, or corn starch as the Americans call it. Sometimes you might see in the shop as corn starch. We didn't do so well on that. I got most of it in. Now, what I'm going to do with that is just give that a shake up. So you can see there that much in the mix there, roughly speaking. So, paprika is for great colour on it, and the rest are for flavour. Now you can add anything you want. Sometimes they add oregano, sometimes they add thyme to it. Sometimes I add different barbecue mixes I have or whatever I've got at the time. But yeah. I'm looking for as well is a nice. I want to see those flecks of black pepper. I'm actually going to go with another bit of black pepper in that. And the simple reason is that I like to see those flecks on the chicken when it comes out. Ooh, it went heavy on it there, but it should be alright. There's no exact science to this. But it's a good bit in it, just a good cup of flour, of each type of flour in it now. Let's see what I'm looking at here now. What's in my hand here? And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I want to see those little black flecks through it. I can see the bit of colour of the paprika now as well. And a little taste of it here myself. I think that needs a little bit more salt. But anyway, I'll play around with that. You can play around with your spices as well. That's the idea of it. Now very quickly, just on the chicken. I've used some boneless chicken thighs, skinless chicken thighs here today. I get from my butcher. And I used to soak them in buttermilk. Now I just put them into an egg wash here. So I've just beaten an egg. And I want to get a nice egg wash on that. And then just let it drain off for a second. And I pour my flour mix in here. So just let it drain off and throw it in. Then I'll use my other hand to keep it dry, to throw on a bit of mix onto this. You can just roll it over it if you want to, but I find it gives a nice even coating just to toss it in it there for a second and keep that hand there dry. So now something along those lines. And then what I generally do is just pick up the chicken thigh and just drop it onto the board like that. So that's one done. I'll do one more here just for show. Again, into the egg wash. I'm using the wet hand here, which has the raw chicken on it as well, and drop it and mix up on top of it and flip it over. Again, you can do these with boneless, you can do them with skinned as well if you want to. Now, there's two of them ready. So I'm going to do a few more of these and we'll come back in a few minutes. Okay, we've got our Kamado up there to a little over 200, maybe 225 degrees Celsius. And I always like to run around the 200, or maybe a little bit along with it. And that's been sitting at that there for a while. Now, my setup is I've got the deflector on the lowest. Then I've got the X-rack with just a sheet of foil there to collect the drippings, as there's a lot of drippings on this. And I've got the grates in now. I'm going to give the grates a little spray of my oil, just so that the chicken doesn't stick to it. So very, very simply, I'm just going to put my piece of chicken on the grate, straight on. Now, as I said, you can do this with skin on, you can do this with skin off, doesn't really matter. Bone in, bone out, completely up to you. These ones are skinless and boneless, so now, here is the trick to it. It's a spray oil. I got that one in little, but you can get them in most supermarkets. Aerosol is much better than the squirty ones, say the 1 cals. And what I want to do is I want to spritz them just enough that they get very fine spray comes out of them. And I just want to colour them in, as in any white spots, and just kind of colour in the white spots is what I'm looking to do. Now, very important is, don't flip these. Don't flip them, don't move them. Now, don't do a thing with them. I think that's plenty of that now. And is there a little white spot on the side there, which would be good to go. Now, I'll just go, see one more there, 1 second. Anyway, you see, I'll just give it a little spritz. Now, just going to let that down, and we'll come back to that maybe in about half an hour. Okay, we've been running here a little over 200 degrees for about 35 minutes, and let's see how we're looking. Oh yeah, they look pretty good there now. They have a lovely colour up on them now, kind of KFC colour as we call them. Now, let's see, we'll just give them a probe here and just see what we're going to be running, I'd imagine, into 90s now in this here, I would say. Yeah, 93. On thighs, that's absolutely fine. You can go quite high with them. 90. 90s, yeah, they're going to be fall apart tender at that. So now, what I want to do with them is, I want to take them out, and another important bit is, I haven't flipped these, I haven't turned them, I haven't done anything with them. I want to make sure that they're not stuck to the grate there, and just clearly lift off and put them onto a wire rack, onto a wire cooling rack there, and I give them a good 5 minutes there on the cooling rack, and that lets them crisp up. So we'll come back to that there now in a few minutes. Alright, these have been sitting now for about 5 minutes, and I noticed that like there's a good, like, they pass a scratch test now. There's quite a crunchy coating on them now, and oh yeah, that tastes really good. Now the undersides, remember I said don't flip them. You know, the undersides are absolutely perfect. Still very juicy chicken, and very moist, and with the crispy coating as well. Oh yeah, nice flavour off that now. Listen, that worked out well, so I hope that helps somebody.